over 50 million metric tons of electrical waste was produced globally in 2019. This is more than a combined weight of all the adults in Europe. 350 cruise ships would weigh the same amount, and this is what was produced in just 1 year. What is e-waste, and where does it come from?
Over 50 million tonnes of electronic waste produced every year. It's a big problem. The trouble is, I love technology, and I'm not the only one. For me, I especially love technology that's noisy. Like this old synth, it's 40 years old and it still works perfectly. If it was damaged, it would be worth repairing it, and I could definitely sell it secondhand because lots of people want it. 40 years old. So, look at the electronic devices around you and ask yourself 3 questions. Will it still work in 10 years' time? Where do the materials and the minerals come from to make it? Where will it go when it's dead? We are surrounded by disposable technology. Phones, computers, printers, all of the consumer electronics we use. And now there's all kinds of other things like flashing trainers and scooters and glowing balloons and wearable tech. Electronics is sneaking into everything. But if our technology is getting better, then why is the lifespan getting shorter all the time? And what's inside all these flashy electronic gizmos we buy? To find out the answers to these questions, we're going to have to break some things. Not this though. Why is there so much e-waste, and more every year? One reason is that disposable income has gone up. I don't feel like mine has right now, but we're talking globally here. And there's a lot of countries like India where many more people are now able to afford the kind of wastefully indulgent lifestyles they see in the West. And they want a bit of it. Another reason is that the purchase price for consumers, so the price that you might buy something in the shops, has gone down massively. A lot of this electronic stuff is incredibly cheap. How can it be cheaper to buy a new printer than to buy a replacement cartridge for a printer? The reason is the companies aren't paying the true cost. The costs have been externalised, and we'll come to that soon. Anyway, this incredibly cheap stuff tends to break pretty quickly, and that's part of the design. It's intentional. With a lot of our digital technology, it doesn't actually have to break physically or catch fire. It's just upgraded into obsolescence, with those sneaky upgrades that they seem to need every 5 minutes, and suddenly it doesn't perform or is not compatible with the latest apps and software. And then these short-term consumer items are incredibly difficult to repair. And again, that's deliberate. They've been designed this way. There's not much profit going to the companies who sell them if people can repair them and keep them going for longer. And repairing stuff just isn't valued in our culture anymore. Now, it's chuck it away, buy a new one. Designing unrepairable products has got so bad that some fruity companies are even gluing the batteries and the other components into their laptops. So you can't repair them if one thing breaks. You have to buy a whole new machine. It would be unfair for me to single out or name any particular companies. There's another big factor why there is so much e-waste now, and that's that electronic components are sneaking into all kinds of places that they didn't used to be, like trainers. I feel really bad using this flashing trainer and cutting it up like this. Some of you guys might have them at home. You might be even wearing them now. And don't worry, it doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. Pretty much everyone is using disposable technology without really thinking about it. We're constantly bombarded by messages and images and advertising that show us how happy, successful and beautiful we could be if we just get something new. But funnily enough, they never show us the consequences of churning out this huge amount of disposable tat. What matters is what you choose to do now. Keep buying disposable technology and contributing to e-waste, or are you going to start to take back control of your technology? This trainer is rechargeable, but that's actually worse if it does get thrown away, because rechargeable batteries have far more toxic stuff in them than disposable ones. And let's face it, trainers are disposable. They break quickly. We all know that, even though we keep buying new ones. So this is probably just going to get chucked in the bin. It's not going to get reused or repaired, or probably not recycled. And here is the heart. Look at that. The circuit board, the battery, the wires and everything are encased in solid plastic to make it almost impossible to recycle. Most of us have a drawer like this in our homes, full of electrical bits and bobs and things we can't find the charger for. What are we supposed to do with all this stuff? Well, we could just take it straight to our local waste processing site and sling it all in the wee tub. But wait, there may be other options. So let's be brave, don't put it off. Let's dive straight into the drawer of dead tech. A lot of this stuff has value. If you haven't needed it for a year, you probably won't, but someone else might. So first, find anything that still works, then give it away on a local donation group or sell it. Used phones are common inhabitants of the drawer. Just make sure that your personal data is wiped before you get rid of them. Take out the SIM card, restore the factory settings. Same goes for tablets, any data storage. There's several charities who are always looking for phones, so search online where you can drop them off or send them to. A lot of other items, even older items, can find a new home, but some stuff is completely obsolete within a few years of manufacture. If no one wants an item, even when it's free, then it skips straight onto recycling, unless we can find a way to upcycle it. So reuse is really good because we're extending the usable life of these products, and that reduces the demand for new products. But is that a bad thing for the companies that produce the new products? Well, yes, but these are some of the most profitable companies around, and they're basically, one reason they're so profitable is they're externalizing the costs of obtaining the minerals that they use and the costs of disposing of the waste, and that results in higher profits. So externalizing the costs basically means passing on the costs so someone else can deal with them, and the people who are taking this cost on are some of the most vulnerable people in the developing world. And this is purely so that higher profits can be made in the richer places of the world and cheaper products can be obtained in the richer places of the world. And currently the governments of the world are allowing this to happen.
The amount of e-waste we produce is increasing every year, and by 2030 it is expected to total 74 million tons per year if current trends continue. Only 17.4% of this e-waste was officially recycled in 2019. So where did the other 41.3 million tons go? Not surprisingly, it seems like a lot of it ended up being dumped on vulnerable and powerless communities in developing countries, causing serious damage to people's health and to the environment.
Oh no, this all sounds really depressing. I think I might have to go and buy a new phone just to cheer myself up. But wait, there is hope. We are the ones who have power. Companies won't choose to change their practice if it means a reduction in their profits, but they will listen to their customers, especially once their customers stop buying their products and start telling their friends and family all about what's going on. Look how the issue of plastic waste was publicised, and now many companies have been forced to take action by the voices of consumers. There are quite a few things to be hopeful about, and now we come to one of them, something that people all over the world are getting more and more interested in. So we've taken out everything that is already working and we've donated it or we've sold it, and now we have a few things that don't quite work. And here we come on to repair, and this is one of the best areas at the moment. There's some really exciting things going on. There's repair cafes popping up all over the place. If there's not one near you, you could start one up. There's the Right to Repair movement, that's really interesting. There's loads of good online material, videos, some bad ones as well. But there's a lot of good help to show you how you can have a go at repairing stuff. Have a go at repairing small battery powered things. Don't have a go at things that plug into the wall. That's not a good idea. If you don't want to do it, find someone who does. Just offer it for free online as a repair job. And the wonderful thing about repair is if we can get something working, then it goes back into reuse, and we have really extended the lifetime of that product. This isn't a repair video, but I do just want to show you a very simple example, a repair of a very common fault. This is my portable audio recorder and I love it. I've had it for years. I wouldn't call this disposable tech as it's been dropped and rained on and it's pretty tough. But now if I just put it down or even tap it gently, it can just switch itself off, which is pretty annoying if I'm in the middle of recording something. Let's have a look in the battery compartment. If there's any movement at all here with these AA's, it's going to create a tiny gap which is like a circuit that's switched off. Now this is a very common fault with portable devices, and I wonder how many have been thrown away when it could just be a 20-second repair. All I have to do is get in there and just bend this metal connector out a tiny bit so that when the battery's in, it fits snug again. Okay, now it's sprung. Another common fault, if something hasn't been used for a while, it can get a little bit corroded. If you see a bit of rust on there, clean it off with some sandpaper, and you might find that does the trick too.
Over 1,000 different chemicals have been identified in standard e-waste. 2019's e-waste included 50 tons of mercury, a neurotoxin, as well as many other harmful, toxic and polluting chemicals and minerals. A lot of these pollutants have ended up in the atmosphere, the land and the sea through burning and dumping. Workers, families and children work and live on and around the unofficial waste processing sites, breathing in the dust and the smoke, consuming contaminated food and water, resulting in serious and long-term health conditions.
It's all getting really heavy. Let's smash something. We've taken out the things that can be reused and we've given them away. Hopefully we've got some things repaired or given them for repair, and so we've extended the lifespan of those items. And what are we left with? A load of broken chargers and things that are just so chronically obsolete that no one's going to want them even for free. What you can do is collect them up and scrap them, because there is value in some of these things. And if you have some time in your hands and you want to earn a bit of cash, then you can start collecting scrap. And there's loads of information online on how to do that. A couple of leads like this isn't going to amount to very much. But if you collect more of a stack like this, that's a lot of copper. And if you cut the ends off, make sure it's a dead lead, then you're going to get a higher value when you take it for scrap. Circuit boards, got gold inside, especially these RAM and the processors. Once they're separated from everything else, they've got scrap value. Inside a hard drive, you've got neodymium magnets. They have some value as well. The chassis is aluminium. There's copper and gold in here and copper there. There's all kinds of bits and bobs. So you can find lots of information online and you can do a bit of scrapping yourself. Why not?
2019's e-waste contained an estimated $62.5 billion worth of precious minerals, such as gold, silver, platinum and copper. Much of this has been dumped in landfill, meaning that more virgin minerals must be mined, leading to more environmental destruction and human exploitation. Let's imagine, however, that those $62.5 billion worth of minerals were recycled. Each gram of gold would re-enter the circular economy and be reused efficiently, ultimately reducing waste to zero. That's not all, because a new industry of specialized recycling and many new skilled jobs would also be created, so it's a win-win scenario. And in this scenario, disposable technology and obsolescence wouldn't make sense. Resources would be reused, workers' lives respected, and environmental destruction halted.
So one reason there's so much e-waste and it's increasing so much is because of planned obsolescence. And what that means is that the companies who make this tech stuff are actually designing it not to last very long. They're making it so that it breaks quite quickly and is difficult to repair. That's good for nobody except for the people selling it who want to sell you new products. So, a couple of examples of that. An average smartphone lasts for 2 or 3 years and then it dies, becomes obsolete. My favourite, a desktop printer. The average desktop printer prints for 5 hours and 4 minutes and then it dies. They're almost impossible to repair. You can't give them away and they've got very little useful stuff inside them. And during its life, you have to buy unbelievably expensive refill ink cartridges with tiny amounts of ink that they sell to you at a price higher than gold. Ink. I bought these for £1.50. What's going on? So if that situation makes you a little bit angry, then you could do everything recommended in this video, but we haven't got much chance with something like this. There is one solution that might at least make you feel a little bit better. So when we look at the actions of these tech companies, it can seem a bit like a fairy tale story. The richest, most powerful, getting even richer by exploiting the poorest and most powerless. However, it's important to remember that companies are not people. You could think of a company as a bit more like a robot that's just programmed to maximize its profit. There's no point treating a company like something that can decide right or wrong. The company will just say that as long as what they're doing is legal and it's what their customers want, then there's no reason why they shouldn't do it. That's why we have the power. We are the customers. All it takes is for us to get this word out and to stop buying their stuff. The company will change. But we need to seize the power here, and you can do that by learning. You can educate yourself. Find out how things work. Hack it, repair it, make it. You don't have to buy it. Knowledge is power. If lots of us start to reduce our consumption, to reuse things, repair things, and recycle what's left, it will make a huge difference to this situation. And stop buying crap.